All right, I have got pens out, Dayglow Crocs on, Christmas socks in case you didn't catch them, just because it's some fun, and I'm going to do a quick video. That being said, I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit something different. I'm going to tell you what's going to be in this video, so for those that don't usually stick all the way around, you'll know what you're actually missing in case you want to catch something that's toward the end. What I'm going to talk about this time in specific is going to be Pilot fanboys. I'm definitely going to talk about you. The amount of responses that I got basically telling me what an amazing pen a Falcon is amazing. I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about the comparison. What I'm really going to down and dirty talk about are going to be a Pilot Falcon right here. I'm going to talk about a Pelikan Stola III right here. And I'm going to talk about a Montblanc Noblesse. Noblesse is how my European wife pronounces it. But I call it a Noblesse. That's how I've heard a majority of English-speaking people speak about that pen. And the cut and dry of it is I'm going to talk about exactly what one of these cost to buy it today used or to buy the current model replacement for any of them. Because that's the big important part. People tell me about how I'm over comparing this Pilot Falcon. I'm not being fair to it. I disagree, and I'll lay that all out when we talk about those in specific. I'm going to talk about exactly how each one of these feels in the hand, and I'm going to talk about how they feel when I write. I'm going to talk about the way that they look, the fit and finish that has gone into each one of these pens, and what it means to me as far as how they are valued. I'm also going to talk about what you could actually sell one of these used for if you were to buy one and decide that it really wasn't your bag and you got out of it. If you stick around till the very end, I'm going to talk about how you should ship a pen and what you should expect when you buy pens. Man, I wish I knew before getting into this to talk about, hey, how is this pen going to be packaged before you send it to me? Because some pens are amazing and others are not when they're packaged up. All right, let's go ahead and mount up the phone and get into the conversation. All right, guys, if anybody expected more from me with the audio on the last video, or maybe it was 2-3 videos ago, I agree with you. I had a set of Apple AirPods on while videoing, and I thought that it was going to be picking up my voice as I walked across the room to grab something else, left the video running on something, and somebody gave me a heads up. They're like, yeah, man, right in the middle of that video, your voice just started to trail off. And it trailed off to the point where it was the microphone trying to pick me up as I walked. It was clear across 2 rooms away to grab something. And I had no idea. I thought that the earbuds were actually doing the audio the entire time. And the reality is they were not. It was actually just the microphone on my iPhone. I'm not doing huge investments in the video quality like I've done on some other videos. It's predominantly just a quick video. I'm trying to make them as short as reasonably possible, entertaining, and talk about this stuff. So I'm sorry for that. All right, that being said, I said I'm going to start off with Pilot fanboys. Man, I basically talked about this pen in specific, the Pilot Falcon. I was talking about what I thought about this pen. And everything I say is based on what I wish I knew before I bought something. That's it. I am not trying to promote you buying something. I am literally trying to make these videos so that when somebody else is interested in a pen that I know I was looking into myself and ended up buying, you know about it. I talk about the fit and the finish and the quality of these things. And when it comes right down to it, there is absolutely no question that there is a huge difference between these 3 pens. But this is going to be the part that's probably going to shock you. When you take a look at these 3 pens, this is a Montblanc, this is a Pelikan, and this is a Pilot. And most people think like, oh, snobbingly, look at my pinky up about the Montblanc. Yeah, guess what? I paid $55 for this pen, shipped. Oh, and by the way, when the dude shipped it, He had this bubble wrapped inside of a piece of Schedule 40 PVC pipe. So bubble wrapped inside of here, then bubble wrapped outside of here, then in a bubble wrap envelope. That dude did great shipping, and I had this quick and in my hands, $55. That's amazing. When we're talking about $55 for this, I only paid $40 for this. Yeah, it was a small handful of years ago. It's a Pelikan Stola III. I paid $40. To buy it right now is only $68. It is still a steal in comparison to this tragedy of a pen in comparison, is all I'm going to say. It is by far no 912. Yep, I've talked about that 100 other times. Pilot, amazing pen, guys. Pilot, horrible pen, guys. That's just reality. This, I paid $80. Good luck finding another one for $80. I bought it used off of Reddit. If you're trying to buy one brand new, right now today, this is $200. This is $68. This, to buy the equivalent, is really a Pix. And the Pix is about $270. So yeah, it's $70 more than this. Oh my God. That's the best $70 you would ever spend between two pens. But as far as I'm concerned, you can buy this 912 if you still want a Japanese pen, because they make great stuff. There's no question about it. But you can buy this for the same price as a Pix. And hands down, both of them put this pen to shame. There's just no doubts about that. So again, in the used market, we're talking about $80 or $200 new, $40 or $68 new, and $55 or $270 for the current modern day version, brand new. I don't care what you say. I really don't care who you are. You're out of your mind if you think that this was worth more than this. And that's the Pilot versus the Pelikan. I'm not even going to get into the Montblanc because so many people are going to like talk about the snobbiness about it because I have a bunch of them. It's made better. It's just hands down $55. Yeah, that's going to be tough to come across. I understand that. You know, it's not exactly the norm. I 100% understand that I got a definitely screaming deal for this pen. But hands down, way better pen than the Pilot is. So let's go ahead and talk about things that really matter. What did they come with? So I said I would talk about what they came with. What they came with, it actually really does matter. So this Pilot, it came with a reasonable packaging. It wasn't horrible. I've definitely had worse, and I had worse out of a brand new Pelikan. I couldn't believe, I thought the Pelikan was going to be destroyed. It comes with the Con 40. That's what it came with. They actually gave me my choice. Did I want a empty cartridge, which I thought was a weird offer, or the Con 40? And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely I'll take the Con 40. Con 40 is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. It comes with a plastic resin. I wouldn't call this brushes resin. It's not translucent. It's nowhere near the same caliber as some of the other Pilots. Whether you're talking about a 912, you're talking about a 25, you're talking about this 74, they all feel way better. It's a lower quality resin than the remainder. As far as the barrel, the nib assembly is definitely reasonable. I have found some tricks, we'll talk about that while writing, to make it feel better than I thought it was. Lots of people commented on how wonderful they think it was. In my writing samples in this in the past, you can see the skips, the digs, this and that and the other thing. It's not amazing. The nib is not really beautiful. It's not horrible. It's just what it is. This is a Falcon nib. That's the feed. And here's where it definitely wins. An item that I think is by far superior, and by the way, this is a chocolate and vanilla situation, it wins that it is at least a thread-on cap. There's beautiful. I love the thread-on cap. Both the Pelikan snap-on cap and the Montblanc snap-on cap, I don't think do as a nice a job as the thread-on that you get from the Pilot. So huge win there. Other fit and finish item, the barrel assembly, we already talked about. The cap is like reasonable. The banding, it's really not nearly as nice as I had expected. In pictures, it looks better than in person. In person, it falls off the mark. It really is nowhere near as nice as most of the other pilots that I've had in my hand. I'm not talking about the lower end pilots, but I'm also talking about something here that's $200 brand new. I expected better. All right, so that's the feel in the hand of the Pilot, the feel in the hand of the Stola. So it's a Pelikan. It is hefty because it is a metal barrel. It does not post. Drives me absolutely bonkers that it doesn't post. If it posted, this would be hands down, in my opinion, by far the world's greatest starter pen, hands down. There's no question in my mind about that whatsoever. If it posted. And the posting is not the most important part to everybody, but there are people who it is. So if Pelikan would have at least made it post, they could have caught both groups of people. The people that don't want to post it, set your cap down, do your writing, call it a day, Merry Christmas. Nib, holy smokes. The nib is amazing, smooth, buttery. It is not an ultimate gusher, so it doesn't remain crazy wet, but it does write consistent. What did it come with? It came with an international style converter. And if I remember correctly, that's what it came to me used with. I believe when I read some other postings, it came only with one ink cartridge. That's what it normally comes with. It is a metal body barrel. Its finish is really, really smooth and comfortable to the hand. When I talk about comfortable, I'm talking about the thickness of the barrel. Yes, the Pilot has got the thickness a little bit skinnier, and it feels okay, just okay. The Pelikan feels definitely better in the hand. There are no threads, so they're not coarse. It's a very nice progression down to where you're going to hold this on the unit itself. The threads on this Pilot are definitely a bit more coarse. By the way, nothing crazy. I actually think that my Pelikan M800 are more coarse than this, so it's not really that bad, but they are definitely something you can feel in comparison to nothing to feel on this Pelikan. Very solid cap, a very modern style clip. So Pelikan is very famous for their clips. If you don't know much about a Pelikan, I'll at least show you. Here's an M800 clip. What they're famous for is it's shaped just like a Pelikan's bill. It's going to have the gullet portion. It's going to have the bill of the Pelikan. It's going to have the two eyes, and it's going to have the structure of a head, nodding down. That's what they're famous for. This is kind of like a modern iteration, modern artwork version. You're going to have that shape, but you're not going to have the eyes. You're not going to have a true bill. It's just going to be the shape of. It's not going to have the gullet because it's going to be a snap style cap. It is very nice feeling. It is very secure if you ever put it on something. But what steals the show by far is the nib. The nib is definitely nice looking and ultimately gorgeous to write with. Last, but certainly not least, is going to be talking about the Montblanc. The Nobilis is very skinny, so almost Bic / cross century skinny. But it feels very nice and hefty. So one of the parts that's going to make it feel as hefty as it feels is going to be the fact that it is definitely a brass barrel. So this pen, when it came to me, this is the what did it come with? It only came with an empty, intentionally empty, nice and clean, with a ball inside of there that does break the surface tension of the ink to make sure that you've got decent feed out of it. That's what it came with. I was very concerned whether or not an international converter was going to fit, because if you take a look, that's so close. And when I say so close, what did not fit was my Lamy style converters. I have a couple that I leave around from safaris, And because it's got the two little nubs, it would not fit down in the barrel. And that made me worry about whether or not this really long style was going to fit, because I know I turned around and I tried to put this international with. Let's take a look and see about the size difference. Oh, it's just a little bit longer. And that little bit of extra length right there was just enough that when I was going like this, I said, oh my God, it's touching the bottom of the barrel before these threads ever got there. And I know it's not going to be the same threads, but I was just trying to get a wag for feel. Either the little tiny bit of extra girth here or the extra bit of length on this particular unit made it not fit. By the way, look at how gorgeous that threads and unthreads. Absolutely spectacular. Like, really is spectacular. It's one of the better feeling units when you put it together and take it apart. All right, so that back to the knobless. Nice features about it is that I was able to get an international in there, and I didn't have to spend any extra crazy money. A regular old international fit inside of that barrel. It does not thread together nearly as nice as that Pelikan, but again, it threads perfect, just not as nice. Solid brass, so you're not going to get any translucence whatsoever. It is technically an enamel baked finish. It does not shine and shimmer as well as, for instance, the Le Petit Prince, that's also a Bordeaux. But some of the places where it is definitely like a, hey, stand apart, is going to be things like, how about some of the body of the stamping into that nib? It's gorgeous. How about the fit and trim finish of this? This is something that I didn't expect. The photos didn't show it so well. The print inside of that brass is spectacular in person. It just has a feel. The finishing touches, like how gorgeous this gold clip is. It shines, shimmers, and looks beautiful. And they finished it with another snow cap. So 1, 2, 3, 4 snow caps. If you didn't see the one earlier, we'll show you that right there on the nib. 4 snow caps on a $55 Montblanc. That's the feel of it. It's great. It's the finish of it. It's great. Now, how do the three of them write? I'll start with the Pilot. Why not? The Pilot seems to write okay, and I genuinely mean the words okay, if you hold it very shallow. So let's see if I'll twist this up on its edge. Very shallow, it writes okay. That's how shallow. My normal writing style will be gripped up on the grip assembly itself and a little bit higher, like at a traditional 45-degree angle. Not some crazy 90, just a standard 45. Let me tell you, this thing digs into the paper, literally, at that 45-degree angle. At a low angle, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's down in the 30 to 33-degree angle. It flows and writes a little bit better. I've tried writing on some junk paper today with all three of these. I'll talk about that in a second, but let's talk about how it flows. This particular model, I'm sure 100 people are going to tell me, well, mine's not that way. Well, that's great. Mine is this way. Hard starts after it sits for a couple days. It does have the balls inside of the Con 40. Gave that a little bit of a shake. It still didn't get it going. So what I did was I was like, oh, well, let me just prime the nib a little tiny bit, right? No big deal. I gave it a little twist to push the ink up into the feed. Oh, man. Well, the feed must have been pretty full, because as soon as I pushed it, it really fed something fierce, dripped out of the pen, and then was writing so saturated it was unbelievable, even though I actually pulled back a little tiny bit. So not nearly as good as a 912 as an example, to just comparing Pilot to Pilot at that point. But this 912, I can let this thing sit for, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, pull it out. It will start writing immediately. It is never a hard start ever. I have had hard starts every time this thing sat for maybe 2 or 3 days, and I don't grab for it much. So it means it's going to be a hard start every time. Scratchy, not great feel. I've got to go real shallow to get it to write nice, but when I go shallow, it does write nice. Crazy, just a concept. Think about that. All right, the Stola, how does it write? Fantastic all around. 0 line variation, so don't expect it. You're not getting it. Fantastic. Never a hard start, never a skip, never a problem. And when I say never, I mean all the way down to the point where this thing is out of ink. It gives up its last drop to perfection. And when this thing isn't writing, I guarantee you open it up, it's out of ink. And that's all there is to it. It is nice, of course, when you're going to charge the pen, you're sucking through the feed, so it's always immediately ready to go. I genuinely don't remember ever seeing nib creep on this bad boy. Every time I open it, the nib looks this clean, this gorgeous, ready to rock and roll. Love this pen, but hate that it doesn't post. Just a reality. But it writes perfection every single time. I'll write a little bit with some of these if you want to see it in front of you. I'll do it at the very, very end. And next up is going to be, how does the Montblanc write? I'll use the words as expected. When you buy a Montblanc, you should expect very, very good. I've heard a lot of people talk about some super modern day Montblancs are not nearly as good as they have been in the past. Maybe that's because they're being bought from a place that doesn't do a great job. Maybe they're being bought by people that don't know that you've got basically machining that needs to be cleaned, like a preservative oil on them. You need to flush your pen before utilizing it. So that being said, if you're not doing that, it's not going to be great. The pen does post. Made me very happy that it posts. Feels very comfortable. The tiniest bit of aft balance. The Pelikan is spot on, perfectly balanced. The Pilot is actually perfectly balanced, by the way. If balance is an issue for you, it's spot on. This posted has got a full brass cap. It's going to be a little bit of aft heavy. I don't mind it. What I don't love is for long writing, this would not be the most comfortable for me as thin as it is. I prefer something along the lines of a Legrand style and size for long writing. For short notes, I would never notice this. It writes great and it writes good on cheap paper. It writes exactly as I would expect a Montblanc to write. Smooth, 0 scratch, doesn't care, shallow all the way up to steep. It writes really well. It's not been a mess for me so far. Yada, yada, yada. That's what that is. How do they look? This is where I'm going to get people commenting. By the way, I don't have that many people watching my videos, so I'm trying to be realistic. If a video gets 19 watches and has, 15 comments, that's crazy. I'm not getting that many watches in order to get that many comments. But boy, when I said, how does this compare to a Montblanc? I was trying to be fair. I was talking about a less expensive Montblanc that I would just, this doesn't own up. I've got other pilots that own up and hold their weight against all of my Montblanc, all of them. This holds its weight hands down. The Falcon does not. It doesn't look great, and when I say it doesn't look great, what I mean is cut and dry. The nib is not gorgeous, the plastic is not great looking, and the bands on the cap are lackluster in comparison to the quality that some of their other pens are. But at least it has bands. I'll say that, because now let's talk about how the Stola looks. If you like a metal pen, it looks gorgeous. It is not traditional. It is modern Pelikan at its best. Screen printed Pelikan logo at the top, a modern homage to a Pelikan bill clip, a very simple word Pelikan across the cap itself. The nib looks gorgeous. It's two-tone, slightly smaller, but not exorbitantly small. The imprint on it is perfect. It's not two-tone. I don't care, because all you gotta do is write with it once and it shuts me up. And I'm a complainer. It shuts me up. It writes that good. How does the Montblanc write? The Noblesse writes great. Not overly wet, not dry, no hard starts, no scratch. It was good to go right out of the gate. It's a used pen, so maybe it's been tuned perfectly. Don't know. What I'll tell you is, if you could easily find these for the price I paid, I would say it would be my absolute recommendation as a starter pen. Some $55 Montblanc. How do you go wrong? But you can't. Genuinely, to buy a brand new Montblanc, their lowest end, you're looking at $270. That's not in the same class. But I have got a multitude of pens that I paid $115, including shipping, or less. Including shipping. That's saying a lot. I have got one I paid $40 for, this that I paid $55 for, and some others that I paid sub $100. Sorry to say, but at $80 for this, it's garbage. It might as well get thrown in a garbage bin in comparison to every single one of the Montblancs that I paid sub $100 for, period. Dollar to dollar, any pen I have bought near the price of this Falcon has been better, hands down. Fit, finish, writing, quality, and last but not least, let's talk about resale value. Realistically, I would anticipate being able to sell this, even though I paid $55 for it. I would imagine when I take this to a pen show, I'm probably going to get $100 worth of trade-in value, so it's almost 100% profit right off the back. Yeah, I wait. I'm not impatient. I wait for the right buys, and I buy them when I can buy them. This, hands down, at a pen show, I'm never going to get a lot of money. I paid $40 for it. It's $68 brand new. I would imagine it's going to sell for somewhere around $40, and that's going to include the shipping. So now I've got to take $10 out of the $40. I'm going to get $30. So buy it brand new for $68, and you're going to get $30 in your pocket. Maybe it's a bad investment as far as getting money back, but you'll probably never sell it because it feels that good. If you're buying this brand new, you're losing your rear. It's $200. They're selling for $100 to $120 all day long. I bought this one for $80. It was on Reddit for a long time. I contacted the person that wanted $120. I offered them $80. They said, F it, you got it. Yours $80. So they shipped it to me for $80. I could probably turn around and sell it for $100. And then when I put $10 in shipping into it, maybe I get $10 out of the pen, which I'm not trying to do. I thought it was going to be everything I wanted out of it. It's none of the above. Maybe I'll take it to the Dallas Pen Show and have the nib worked. But now I've got to take into consideration, if I spend $35 on this, now I'm into it for $115 for the pen. I'll never get more than that out of it. Not that I'm trying to turn a profit on it. It's not what I'm looking to do. But if it wrote perfect, maybe it was worth $115, but it's not. The barrel's not as nice as both other pens we talked about. The plastic just isn't as nice. The nib's not as good looking. It is what it is. Let's talk about how you should ship a pen, or what you should expect. That's probably more like it. What should you expect if you're buying a pen? Here is what everybody would know to be an easily all day long $550 to $600 brand new, and I bought it brand new pen. I bought it off the gray market, so I paid roughly $400. I expected this thing to be protected and come in a nice box, brand new and everything. It didn't. It came in a cardboard envelope. And when I say cardboard, I just basically mean thicker paper with no protection. It was inside of its own cardboard sleeve, and that was it. When it got to me, it literally got to me, the cap was already like this. It was all the way unthreaded. I couldn't believe there was no damage to it, but there wasn't, thankfully. That was dumbfounding. It's one of the pens I've paid the most amount of money for. Go ahead and take a look at my video of my current collection. You'll see I've got a handful of pens. When I say a handful of pens, you know, I'm talking about a lot of Montblancs, including what would be typically going for around $1,400 is this stainless steel solitaire, but I didn't pay that for it. Love Sunjoy to death. Got a great deal on it. That's beside the point. So that'll obviously never leave my hands because I love it. But I paid more for this pen, and it really came to me horribly. Turn all the way around, and I paid $55, including shipping, for this beauty. And the dude put it in bubble wrap inside of a piece of Schedule 40 PVC pipe. Schedule 40 means that it's fairly rigid. This is high pressure line versus DWV that you can actually bend. DWV would have still done a great job. Really, I genuinely could have ran this packaging over with my truck, a 1-ton dually, and had zero issues with this pen whatsoever. Amazing job shipping this. This guy was cool as could be. That's fanatical shipping, and I loved it. You should ask those questions because, like, for instance, if you're going to buy them from Jakarta, Sunjoy's a dude that sells on Reddit. He does a great job of packaging his pens. It's a long wait for them sometimes. It is what it is. But he protects them pretty darn well, and they're kind of a pain to open. They're that well protected. Either which way, you're going to get everything in between. No protection to crazy protection. I advise that when you buy something from somebody used online, ask the question, how are you shipping this? I promise when you're buying something, whether you're buying it from $20 all the way up to $400 or $1,000, if the dude wants a couple extra bucks to put it in something protective, it's worth it unless you're spending the money on the insurance anyway, which is still going to be the same money. Like, be patient. Let the dude package it well so that it gets to you. I apologize. When I say dude, I just mean person. Dude, female, whatever you want to call the person that's shipping it to you. Like, just ask the question, hey, I'm not in a rush. Can you package it better? Do you need another $5 for packaging materials to make sure that this thing's going to get to me and be all in one piece? All right. This all being said, a lot of people have actually been putting comments on my videos. I greatly appreciate the comments. I like the interaction. I will answer your questions the best that I can. Hands down, I genuinely will. Ask whatever you want. Argue with me on my opinion of something. I'm okay with that. Just realize I'm not selling anything. I am not promoting something or someone at all. I am genuinely giving you my experience with this pen. By the way, like all the way down to the last time I talked about this, I remember explicitly saying that the person I bought it from said the upstrokes were ugly. They aligned the tines the best that they could, but they don't believe the tines are perfectly aligned. I agree. It writes like crap on the upstroke. I just talk about my experiences. Get rid of the misaligned tines. Forget about that. Go to, how did Pilot do? The bands are not great. The plastic is substandard. The nib is just not as good looking as most of these other nibs of everything else that I talk about. It just isn't good looking. It's not. The FA nib on the 912s, I think it looks better. A23s, it's all the same. You can get the FA nib. It's better looking. So this is going to go away, and I'm going to get one of those, and hopefully I feel better about that purchase. You guys have stuck around long enough. I'll at least show you this right here. So cut and dry. This is the Montblanc here in this green. This is a green, this is a green. This is like a teal heading towards blue-green, and this is like a shamrock green, and this is ancient copper. So Montblanc, Pelikan, and the Falcon. The Montblanc writes wet enough that I intentionally did not underwrite. I wrote alongside where you would with a ballpoint, and you can clearly see, plain as day there, lots of smudging from it. But then go ahead and pop out to the next line down. I just went to my standard underwriting I would do with a fountain pen, and I had no smudging from it whatsoever. This is the Pelikan. Notice virtually no smudging anywhere. There is definitely a little bit, we'll blast in the zoom there, so a little bit right there, but not a ton. And last but not least, the Falcon. The Falcon was wet, really wet, and that's induced by me, so I don't want to comment on that. This is after it began to dry out to standard writing, and this was the last bit I had to like crunch in to get the last word in. Apologize, my writing sucks. I know it does. I'm not looking for a critique on how beautiful my writing is. It's not. I'm a lefty. I'm an engineer type of person, very mechanical. So my writing is not beautiful. Sorry. But you can see as soon as I touched it, there was definitely some smudging going on right there. So it is a wet writer right there. And that's okay, you know, but I definitely didn't expect it to drip off. It is a fairly cheap paper, but it still wrote good. I typically do my writing on Rhodia paper, and here is some Rhodia writing with these pens. So this is right here with the, well, I don't know, so let's just do it with the pens themselves. We'll start with the Montblanc. Montblanc does it offer, oh yeah, look at that. So it is a gold nib. There is some line variation that you can get out of it if you're trying to. It is a nice pen, hands down. That's not extreme by any means. I didn't give great pressure. I'm certainly not going to spring my tines. Next up is going to be the Pelikan. The Pelikan is definitely fantastic. It's got ancient copper in it, which I've already mentioned. It feels like a hot knife through butter. Zero line variation whatsoever. That's a lot of pressure right there. It's a hard steel nib. You don't expect much. That's no pressure whatsoever. Definitely a good writing pen. Really writes well. This is where I lose it. I'm going to do my very best to give this its fair shot. Super fair here, okay? Holding super shallow, making myself uncomfortable, but I know it'll make the pen write better. Okay, zero pressure there. You can definitely see it's gushing. I did not reprime this, so it's actually pretty well gushing. Here's line variation. Right up to the threshold of getting railroading going. That's reasonable line variation. It's not meant to be, as what I'm told over and over and over, but it's got reasonable. Just the place where it loses, just for instance, I'm going to show you standard 45 writing going up. Can you hear it? It literally stuck in the paper. It's uncomfortably grabby. That's really all there is to that. This has turned into a longer video than anticipated. Thanks for bearing with me. And if you have any questions, fire questions at me. If you like the video, obviously go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Apparently that is getting these videos pushed out to more people. And I'll try and keep making the videos as much as I can. I've got, I calculated 14 more videos that I can think of without purchasing another pen. I've got 14 videos left to make. Hopefully you guys will see those soon.